Hey, everybody, it's Michael Bryson for This is Bodybuilding. It is October the 12th, Tuesday, October the 12th, just a few days after the conclusion of the 2021 Mr. Olympia. And man, it was a great, great contest. There was a cloud of sadness that hovered over the entire event due to the passing of George Peterson, but that and George will have their own episode dedicated to him. So right now I'm just going to talk about the actual show itself, which the organizers did an amazing job with. It was the best production of the Olympia, I believe, in the history of the event. Just amazing technology on the stage. The stage itself was humongous, and the competition for this year was incredible. By that I mean each of the divisions were ultra competitive. They were very closely contested. I would say that the top three of several of the divisions, from men's bodybuilding to 212, classic, bikini, these divisions had top threes that were all so good that you could have named any one of those three the champion, Mr. or Miss Olympia, and no one would have had a problem with it, I don't think, other than the people who didn't win. But it was just ridiculously close, to my eye, at any rate. First, I'm going to go over all of the, well, not all of the divisions. I'm going to cover some of the main ones right now, otherwise this video will be too long. But in men's open bodybuilding, the actual Mr. Olympia, we had Mendoa Elsbaye, Mr. Big Ramy himself, winning his second Mr. Olympia title in 2 consecutive years, and he looked great. I would say this is the best I have seen Big Ramy look since working with Chris Aceto in 2016. I believe it was 2016 when he placed. It wasn't his highest placing in the Olympia, but he looked the best on that Saturday night, and then he went on to win a couple shows on that tour afterwards, just looking ridiculous. Great size and conditioning. Now he's working with Chad. It's years later, and he has improved from 2017, in my opinion, to this point here. Chad Nichols has done a great job with him. Last year he was very good. This year he was, I would think, a little bit better. His conditioning, it's not that crazy kind of conditioning that we've seen from Ronnie or Phil or probably even Dorian. Yes, Dorian, of course, at his best was more conditioned. But it was good conditioning. And when you're close to 300 pounds on stage, it was enough to get the job done. Brandon Curry in second and Hadi Choopan in third. Now, these guys each were amazing, and I think there could be an argument made for either one of them to have been Mr. Olympia. Brandon Curry made improvements from last year. He was bigger. He was fuller. He was just as hard. I would say he was about as full as he was when he won the contest in 2019. And if he had won his second title this year, I don't think anyone would have had too much of a problem with it. He looked phenomenal. Hadi Choopan, to me, this guy brought the best conditioning in the show and was the only one on stage who had that truly Mr. Olympia elite level conditioning in men's open. I kind of lean towards him as my favorite. But Brandon, man, he has such great flow and shape. He too could have easily been named Mr. Olympia. Big Ramy got it. I can't really argue. This guy is 300 pounds and he'd crush me. No, but seriously, he looked very good. The top three just phenomenal. In fourth place and in fifth place were Hunter Labrada and Nick Walker. This bodes extremely well for the future of bodybuilding and the Olympia. These two guys are very young men who have both come into their own very fast, especially Nick coming into his own in his first season. He won the New York Pro, won the Arnold Classic, and here he is placing fifth, top 5 in the Olympia. Nothing against Hunter Labrada. I think Hunter's shape is superior. His flow is superior. But I had Nick in fourth, and I had Hunter fifth or sixth. Nick just had tremendous conditioning. He's a monster. He has a lot of wow factor to his physique. He's a guy who I think is going to be a very serious contender for this title for a number of years to come, as long as he stays healthy and does it the right way. He is really, really dangerous. Hunter is dangerous as well, but to me in this show he was holding a little bit of water. We could see he was spilling a lot of sweat during the course of the show, and to me his pec tear has become more obvious than in past years. So to say even that he had symmetry over Nick isn't necessarily true from the front, in that his pecs are different. He's still great, and I don't mean any disrespect to Hunter. I think he's got the ability, if he comes in drier and harder and sharper, to do even better than he did this year, next year. In 6 was William Bonac. William seemed a little down in size or something. He's still phenomenal. Great muscle bellies. The legs, while smaller, I think, than when he was at his peak in 2016, 17, 18, they've matched symmetry now. The one leg had been injured, and it is now seemingly the same size at any rate. So he's got the symmetry, he's got balance, he's got flow. He had a really rough time in the last few weeks in terms of immigration and such due to COVID. So things could throw you off like that, and it seemed to do so for William. Guys like Hadi and Big Ramy were in the country faster, sooner, had more time to acclimate, and I think that was in their favor. William, don't write William Bonac out. Next year he could be back into that top 5. He's going to have to win a show to qualify for the Olympia, which is so weird to say because William has been in top 5 now for several years in a row. He's been as high as second place in 2019, and I actually had him second in 2017 as well. Just a phenomenal bodybuilder who, we cannot write off. Ian Valliere, 7th place. That's the same place he placed last year. It's a shame. I think he's a better bodybuilder than he was last year. He is perhaps doing... How many shows did he do prior to the Olympia? He did, I think, 3 shows in rapid succession, really, prior to the Olympia, and that perhaps that finally took its toll on him. I like the fact that he competes often. He added a lot of excitement to the season, a lot of excitement for his fans, and I become a huge fan of his after seeing him at the Texas Pro. He was in phenomenal shape there, tremendous condition. Here, not quite as sharp, I don't think, and I think that has to do with the fact that he's just done so many shows. To write him off again, there's another guy who next year I think could definitely and will be in the top 5, in my personal opinion. Okay, in 8th place was Justin Rodriguez. Justin continues to improve. He's got a tremendous back now. He's made a lot of improvements there. His back double bicep and front double bicep are both killer poses for him. Very excited for him. I think his legs can come up still a little bit, and if they do, just a little bit, we're going to see him move up a little bit. Akeem Williams placed 9th. He was just off the money. Last year he placed 6th. He went on to win the Puerto Rico Pro to qualify for this show. With Justin Miller was his coach for that show. Justin, who was George Peterson's coach, and I thought that Akeem was his best at that show. His conditioning was very good for a guy who's himself, I don't know what he is, about 280 pounds, big man. I think he did a few shows this year, and perhaps each one he got a little less sharp, I would say. His upper back seems to hold water. It seems soft looking, but interestingly enough, his glutes look good, his hamstrings look good, and his legs from the side are absolutely amazing. He's got great separation there. He just needed to get all the water out of everywhere, I think. Something like that. I don't know. He's got tremendous potential. I still believe that if he nails this 100%, he's not only top 5. This guy is a guy who could be Mr. Olympia. He really could. He's got freaky parts, amazing arms. I have a lot of... And he's a great guy, too. I really have a lot of respect for Akeem, and I think that his future is still super bright. Mohammed Shaban rounded out the top 10, and he looked very good. I mean, Mohammed has had a great season. Every show that he's done, he has not faded. He has improved. He's, I just said I thought Ian should maybe not do as many shows next year, but Mohammed, wow, he maintained, I think, his level of excellence throughout the season. Um, I think he could get a win next year, and I think if he does so, he should put the brakes on and also just do the Olympia. Great future for him as well. Rolly Winkler unfortunately fell out of the top 10, placed 11th. I think we kind of saw that coming as this season has been kind of underwhelming for him. I hope it's not a trend. I hope he can take some time after the show and bounce back for next year and do some amazing things. He's got an incredible physique. Rolly's a guy who last year I thought was going to, this year, be Big Rami's biggest challenge. It just didn't work out that way, and we'll see what happens next year. That's all I'll say about the guys in Men's Open. There were a few other guys in the show, but let's move on because we have a lot of ground to cover. Let's do 212. 212. This show, again, had a top three that was crazy, crazy good. Any one of these three guys could have been named the winner, in my personal opinion. I actually, to my eye, I was there. I was right behind the judges for prejudging, not for finals. Finals, I was a bit back. But I was right there for prejudging. I had Sean winning the show. I thought all three of these guys look great, and I'll talk to you about the strengths of each of them. Derek, the winner. Congratulations to Derek. He's a great, great guy. I really like Derek, and I really love his physique. He is he has the best structure of anyone in 212 and probably as good as anyone in the entire sport in any division. He did a great job this year working with Hani Rambod. Last year, he came in harder than he's ever come into the Olympia prior to this year. And he placed fourth after having 2 years where he was top 2 in the world. And my thoughts were then that, he should probably move up to open because in order for him to get the fullness that he was getting at the previous shows, he wasn't as hard or dry as he was when he competed last year. But to get that hard and dry, he seemed flat, and I didn't see the point in staying in 212. I thought, let him grow, just let him do his thing. But Hani has really sort of worked his magic, and he has made Derek more 3D than he's been before. He had the fullness. He looked phenomenal. His conditioning was spot on. I do not question this win. I just didn't. At the time, I thought he was second at the end of prejudging. That's how I had it. He was, spot on with his conditioning, and his structure is amazing. His front double bicep, I love. Some people were questioning it, how he executes it on my Instagram page. I saw some people making comments. But man, that vacuum, he is like a cobra. The width of his lats, shoulders, big arms, that tiny waist with the vacuum, it was just awesome to see. I thought he was phenomenal. Now, I would say the most conditioned guy of that show was Kamal, who ended up placing third. You can make an argument for him winning the show too, because the conditioning was crazy good. He's a former champion. He won it in 2019. He is 50 years old and continues to improve in my book. I mean, I think he looked better this year than ever. But the top two, they just had a little bit better shape. They just had a nicer look. So I think that him placing third was right. The reason I had Sean winning, Sean to me ticks off all the boxes that you have to tick off of what a perfect bodybuilder is. He had great condition, symmetry, proportion, balance and flow. Everything was there. Conditioning was spot on. He's got density to his muscle. I don't know what Sean can do to be a better bodybuilder. It's hard to imagine. He was 3 pounds heavier this year than last year, but he didn't look to me as however he did that. He did it right. Matt Jansen is his coach as well. His symmetry, his balance, proportions, everything perfect. I guess he can do it again. If he adds another 3 pounds next year, maybe it'll help. I don't know. But he looked perfect to me. That's why I had him at the end of prejudging. I definitely had him winning. And I thought battle for second between Derek and Kamal. Although, like I said, if any one of those guys have been named the winner, they all have great strengths. I do think Derek, going forward, is only going to continue to be more and more dangerous. Working with Hani Rambod, Hani is going to continue to make him freakier and more 3D within the parameters of the 212, at least for next year. I think we're going to see something really special from Derek. He's really, really going to be hard to unseat. In fourth place was Angel Calderon, who looked great. This guy's a ton of muscle, ton of density. Not the prettiest shape, but this is bodybuilding. You don't have to necessarily be pretty. You got to have muscle, and he's got a lot of that. So great placing for him. Nathan Eppler does have a pretty physique, and he's the opposite. He's about 5'8", 212 pounds on stage. Chiseled, great conditioning. Also a tremendous presenter of his physique. He knows how to pose exceptionally well and how to present it. He adds a lot of aesthetics to the 212 division, and I think he's a very welcomed face in the division. I don't know how long he'll be there, being that he is about 5'8", and I think towards the top of his weight limit. Open maybe in the future, but wow, what a great performance. Really, really happy for him. In the sixth place was Ahmad Ashkamnani, who we've seen often in the top 5. I think he's placed as high as top 2 once, twice, 3 times a lady. No, I'm not sure. I think it was once, or maybe twice. I forget. But he's a top 5er typically. He's been pushed out of that top 5. He's 6th in the world here. The man who I actually would have had in 6th place was Kareth Baggio, who was in 8th place. I spoke to Kareth afterwards. He apparently had some sort of injury occur while posing. Not a cramp, but just incredible pain. I don't know if it's sciatic type of thing happened. I couldn't tell by watching him. I thought he did a great job, and his physique to me just packed full of muscle, and I think more balanced than Ahmad. I actually had him skipping over Nasser Muhammad and Ashkamnani and being 6th place. I do think he too, next year, who knows what to expect from him, but I think it's going to be something great. Keon Pearson placed 14th. Keon, I predicted, was going to be in the top 5, top 6 at worst. I don't know what happened. He wasn't as conditioned as we've seen him in the past, and in the past, his conditioning has yet to be really that next level. And if he gets there, he's still a guy who I believe can win this title eventually. Just a great bodybuilder, a great guy. I don't know what happened. Something happened, though. He did tell me on Thursday he was having some digestive issues leading, in the last days and moments before Thursday night when I saw him. So hopefully it's not something that is unfixable, but just something that went wrong in this prep in the last moments. All right, let's talk about Classic Physique. Classic Physique. What an amazing show. The top 3, once again, I will say this, man, at the end of prejudging, you could have gone any way with this top 3. Those top 3 were, by the way, Chris Bumstead, who won his 3rd Classic Physique Olympia title. Terrence Ruffin, who 2 weeks ago had won the Arnold Classic in Classic Physique, has placed 2nd. This is his 2nd year in a row, placing 2nd to Chris. And Breon Ansley placed 3rd, the former champion, 2-time champion. This is his 2nd year in 3rd place. Just phenomenal. All 3 of them. I mean, just really, really great bodybuilders and classic bodybuilders and classic posers. Man, they can all pose their asses off. And Chris, I've heard people saying, he wasn't as good this year as last year. No, he was. He was as good, if not a tad better. I think, personally, my eyes saw just greatness on stage with Chris Bumstead. I think his color was perfect this year, too. I liked everything about Chris. I actually, though, had him in 2nd place at the end of prejudging. I had Terrence just just edging him out. And see, the thing is about why I say the top three, any one of those guys could have been named the champion, and why some people are probably going, oh, Chris wasn't as good this year. Last year, Chris kind of blew everyone away. He made all these tremendous improvements from 2019, and his back was just on a next level craziness. Everything was just popping on Chris last year, and it was this year again. But this year, the other top three guys, Terrence and Breon, were improved from last year, vastly so, I would say, especially in Terrence's case. Terrence, his back looks incredible. Hypertrophy coach, whose name is escaping me, his real name. This is what happens when you just follow people on Instagram. Great work with him. As did his nutritionist, who I always want to call Hyacinth Nasser, but I think it's Yesin Nasser or Nasser Yesin. I'm not sure. That's anyway. He's on Instagram as well. Tremendous. He had a great season. I'll talk about him more as we go. It was a rough year for Terrence. Of course, he lost his primary coach, Mountain Dog, John Meadows. It was a very sad loss this year, but he has bounced back. Terrence has, physically, at any rate, and I think psychologically, mentally, seems good. The last two shows, man, the Arnold Classic that he won, and this show where he placed second, just phenomenal. His back improvement, tremendous. Conditioning was incredible. I mean, the back double bicep, when he hits that back double bicep, to rival, if not beat, guys like Breon and Chris, who have now become famous for back double biceps. It's something to say, because his hamstrings, his glutes, everything was so dialed in. Terrence, just an amazing bodybuilder, an amazing poser. What an artist. I had him in first place going into finals. Now in finals, again, I was sitting far back. I wasn't really, sure what I was seeing as much as I would have been if I was sitting right behind the judges as I was in prejudging. But yeah, it was clear that those three guys were amazing and were going to be the top three. Interestingly enough, when Chris came out for his final just posing routine, as great as Terrence's routine was, and it may have been better than anyone's, it was during that routine where I thought, damn, Chris is unbeatable, today. He's just, by himself and next to people, he just cuts such a striking figure. If you see this guy on stage, it's amazing. It's a confidence level. He exudes championship and champion aura. So again, though I thought that top three was very close, especially between Terrence and Chris, I'm not going to refute it in any way. I think Chris is a great champion, and people are going to have to work really hard to beat him. He is the prototype of what classic physique is and should be. In fourth place and fifth place were these two newcomers. Well, kind of shocking that they placed in the top five like this, beating some really big names. Urs Kalinski. We're just going to call him Urs, because I'm sorry, I kill names. I really should practice this. In fifth place was Ramon out of Brazil. These guys were fantastic. Urs was super, super shredded and full of energy. His posing was terrific. I loved his routine. He added some sort of breakdancing. He did the worm on stage and pop and locked, and it was great. He mixed that with some really, truly classical posing. It reminded me, to a certain extent, of guys like Darren Charles, who was the first guy to ever win any title in classic physique, but was also the king of the $10,000 shows as a open weight bodybuilder, one of the great posers and bodybuilders of all time. And Urs kind of reminded me of him on stage just with his presentation, and his physique is incredible. Great conditioning, definitely deserved his placing. Ramon landed in the U.S. in Orlando on Thursday night, and Friday performed, or Saturday, I should say, performed and placed fifth in the world. This guy came from Brazil. This was his second show, his second pro show, too. To place fifth in the Olympia in your second pro show is phenomenal. It's unbelievable. So, yeah, these two guys, going to have to watch out for them in the future. Ramon is working with Chris Aceto. I think, if he is sharper, and he will be sharper when next we see him, he just had crazy travel, and it was like last minute deciding. I think he won the show that he won like 2 weeks ago or something. I don't know. It was a crazy turnaround, and he's a young man too, just like Ursa's, I think 22 or something. Both these guys, wow. If Ramon comes in sharper next time, and I'm sure he will, with a little bit, he just needs a little more maturity and sharpness, refinement to his muscle. This guy is the real deal, and someone who would look really great standing next to Chris Bumstead with some different tools in his arsenal. He's got arms that are just picture perfect and a physique that says classic to me. Anyway, phenomenal top 5. And I'll say phenomenal top 6, because in 6th place was Alex Cambronero, who looked great as well. I don't know what he could do to be better at that weight class. He is really, really good. He placed second to Terrence at the Arnold this year. And last year, he won the show. A great classic physique competitor. I'm going to go down the line a little bit further. Brian Jones in 9th. Brian Jones placed 5th last year. Brian is someone who can place 5th every year. He could place 1st some year if he truly, truly nails that conditioning. He might just be better off moving into open, because he looks good, big. But man, I say that, but if you're not super sharp and you are making body weight for classic, I think that there's some refinement that needs to happen before just going, hey, I'm just going to get big. I think stay in classic, refine your physique, just get chiseled. And this guy can be a serious threat to anyone, and he could win any show that there is. He just missed the mark, it seemed. He did so at the Arnold as well. Robert Timms placed 10th in the world. And that's, when you consider that there was, I don't know, I think there was close to 30 guys on the show. It was a lot of guys. Robert's someone who I thought was going to be in the top 3. When I did my top 3 predictions, I predicted that it would be he challenging Terrence and Chris. But I still think he can do that. He just was, it seemed like there was just a little bit of water in the back or something. He wasn't sharp in the back, as sharp as he was in Texas, at any rate. I don't know what the story is, or what the mistake was, or if there was a mistake, or that was the look he wanted. But it just didn't work against these guys, who were some really, really shredded guys like Alex and Urs, and the top 3 were just shredded. And for him to win the show, he would have to be as shredded. I still have a huge amount of hope in seeing Robert achieve his true potential. When he does, it's going to be very, very freaky. A beautiful physique on him. His upper body is nuts. Arms crazy, chest, back, everything. In 11th place, Wesley Vizers, who I don't know what he can do to be better either. He was conditioned. This is probably the best I've seen him look. Is just that there's new guys that have come into the mix now who really delivered and who bring a lot of excitement to the sport as well. I don't know if we're going to see him rise up above that level. It's possible. It's possible. This was a really, really stacked lineup, and with talent that none of us saw coming, I don't think. Courage Opara placed 15th. That's another guy who I predicted was going to do really, really well, and I still think he can. Beautiful physique, great posing artist. He too just seemed to miss the mark by a little bit in terms of his conditioning. That's something that is fixable. I like him a lot, and I like his physique a lot. I hope that next year he makes those slight improvements and does really, really well. I'm going to move into women's bodybuilding, the actual Ms. Olympia. Well, there was Andrea Shaw and 15 other girls. And that sounds insulting to say, but Andrea really, she distanced the gap between herself and everybody else. She is, in my mind, she's the best female bodybuilder I've ever seen compete, and I've been going to the Olympia since 2014. Actually, that was the last year that there was a Ms. Olympia, but that was Iris Kyle. So, yeah, I said it. Andrea Shaw, better than Iris Kyle. Don't hate me. Iris Kyle, the greatest of all time, or one of, 10-time champion. But Andrea Shaw has got this fresh, feminine look to her. She's got all the size in the world, but she's called Ms. Pretty Muscle on Instagram, and it's an apt title for her, man. Her muscles are gorgeous. Gorgeous. Just amazing muscle bellies everywhere. And her proportions, her symmetry, everything is spot on. Conditioning, everything. The conditioning is there without being unattractive. You know, it's not over the top. It's not gnarly. It doesn't need to be with that muscle, that pretty muscle. And wow, so many standout body parts, so that none of them stand out. But if you compare her arms to everybody else's, she's got the best arms. Her legs, she's got the best legs. Her back, best back. And there's some really good talent on that stage to say that about. In second place was Hella Trevino. Third place, Margie Martin. Both were incredible. Hella Trevino is coached by Yesin as well as Terrence was. And this was probably the most conditioned I've ever seen her. She was shredded, unbelievably. She was great. Margie Martin, also amazing. Both she and Hallie are former Rising Phoenix world champions. They are world champions, as is Andrea. Andrea's a consecutive two-time and defending Phoenix world champion, as well as Ms. Olympia now. Margie, tremendous physique, great presentation. She's so much fun, lovely human being. It was great watching her and Andrea in the pose down. These girls, they have got great camaraderie and great sportsmanship, and I really enjoyed watching them. They are the top three, as well as Mona Purasala. I'm sure I'm killing her last name. I'm really bad. But anyway, Mona in fourth place, unbelievably good. She is really good. The top four of this Olympia were sensational. Irene Anderson was in fifth. She looked great. In sixth place was Michaela Aycock, who I actually had in fifth place. I think Michaela, she's really come into her own in women's bodybuilding. She was great in women's physique, but in female bodybuilding, it's definitely her home. And I think she's exciting, and the conditioning that she brings is great. Like her a lot, and I would have had her fifth. Top six, though, nothing to sneeze at. In seventh place, Virginia Sanchez, and in eighth place, one of the best posing artists I've ever seen is Janine Lankowski. Janine is just a great posing artist. She's something to watch. I wish everybody would pay as much attention to the women's divisions as they do the men. And I think we're starting to see more and more people pay attention to women's physique and female bodybuilding. These two divisions are on fire right now. Women's physique, really, I'll get to that momentarily. But there's some really great physiques and great posing artists in these divisions that deserve every bit as much respect as the men and as much attention. And I try to give them attention, but I really wish you guys would like it more in terms of just being interested in it, because it's really exciting. My friend Mayla Ash placed 11th in this show. Mayla has just missed it. She missed the mark. I don't know what happened, but I spoke to her afterwards. She knew what happened, so she's good. Beautiful muscle bellies on Mayla. She was great in women's physique, better in bodybuilding. When she nails it, she can win any show she enters. Maybe not against Andrea Shaw. Nothing against Mayla, but Andrea is just amazing. But Mayla is as well. She's great female bodybuilder. Next year, I think we'll see her achieve her full potential. Let's move into women's physique. So I'm kind of doing the muscle groups first, the muscle divisions: bodybuilding, classic physique, women's bodybuilding, women's physique. And in women's physique, this division, man, this is the most stacked division. I think, personally, the top 15 of this division, of this show, all looked amazing. These women bring it, man. And the champion, Sarah Villegas, Sarah, I'm sorry, I mispronounced your last name too. Sarah is the greatest. Well, I'd have to see her against Juliana Malacarni at Juliana's best ever. But man, she's amazing. And she has distanced, I think, the gap between herself and second place. And that's no disrespect to Natalia, who was in second. She looked great too. But Sarah is just completely, well, she's just complete. She's got good size for that best size possible, I think, for that division before you go into bodybuilding. And same thing with her conditioning. It's spot on. It's great. Her flow, her balance, symmetry, and her presentation is masterful. I spoke with her, and her husband Ali is her coach as well. These guys have things down to a science. Every moment of every day, and I don't mean just 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 weeks of prep. I mean always. It's all meticulously planned out, and that plan is meticulously followed and executed. She is all about. A lot of people say, "Oh, I live this thing 24/7." She really, truly does, and has the physical talent to match with that, to be what she is, Ms. Olympia in women's physique, 2 years consecutively now, and I don't see her slowing down because she looks amazing. And there's still things that she says that she knows that she can bring up and improve. I cannot wait for next year. If she does have improvements of any kind, it's going to be just mind-blowing. Natalia Abraham Coelho. Wow. I thought she was amazing. Just great conditioning. She has improved in every way. Her proportions and balance and flow of her physique are impeccable and improved every year. She gets better and better. Tremendous leg definition. She's got great conditioning too. She and Sarah, I think, are like just have perfect conditioning, while still people are saying, "Oh, I like the feminine look of Shanique Grant." Well, I don't know that these ladies are any less feminine. They're more muscular. They're harder. They are, in ways better because of that. I don't think that they are unfeminine whatsoever. Neither do I think that of Brooke Walker, who placed third. Brooke looked great. This is the best Brooke Walker I've seen, and I think she is going to stay a top placer in the Olympia, possibly a future Ms. Olympia at some point. Who knows? She is great. Her pretty girl with a pretty physique, and she brought the conditioning this year. So I really, really enjoyed what I saw. Barbara Minaj, who was fourth this year, she was fourth last year. She's another one who's just phenomenal. I saw her walk. She walked past me on Sunday after the seminar. I was having a coffee, and she walked by with an open back shirt, and you just don't see backs like that very often. She's great bodybuilder. I'm going to jump back to 9th place now and talk about my friend and great competitor, the Chicago Pro Champion, Patricia Goslin. I talked a lot about her already leading up to the show, so I'm going to talk about her now. She placed 9th in her first Olympia, single digits, excellent debut. I can make an argument where I would have had her as high as 6th for this show, though. She was perhaps not quite as sharp as she was in Chicago, just slightly, but she looked amazing. Patricia's got every single body part that you could ask for. She's missing nothing. Everything's in proportion. Balance, flow is tremendous. I think 9th for her debut was great, but I think next year it's going to be top 5 for sure. She's a warrior. She's just gonna come back better. Right behind her was Anne-Lorraine Moan, who's someone else who I thought could have made the top 5. Great conditioning. She's a very pretty girl too. Her conditioning was off the chain, and her structure is probably not as good as some of the other girls who placed ahead of her. Now I'm going to jump all the way down to 14th. I say all the way down. She's still top 15, top 14 in the world. To my other good friend, Alyssa Keisling. And the reason I bring her up is because I've talked about her a lot in the past. This was her Olympia debut, and she looked great. She had a great posing routine, great presentation, I should say, at prejudging too. She looks amazing. She needs more time. She's a young girl. This was her rookie year as a pro. Won the New York Pro. Placed 14th here at the Olympia. And like I said, the top 15, if you watch this show, if you look through the pictures, the top 15 of this show are all great. So kudos to her. Alyssa, I'm so happy for you, and I'm so happy for Patricia as well that they got their first Olympia under their belts, and they did really, really well. Next year's just going to be better. More maturity and refinement to the muscle. That's all that's needed. Let's see. What should I talk about next? What's here? Men's physique. Well, men's physique, Brandon Hendrickson won his third Mr. Olympia, or Men's Physique Olympia Championship. He won his third one and his second consecutive one. He did so looking phenomenal, and I think that this was his best, and I think he was by far, it was clear he was first place. There's no knocking him. The conditioning was great. He's got great muscle bellies, great roundness to his upper body. That's all that you really see anyway, his upper body. But he is the champ, and I don't know, man. If he keeps getting better, who's going to beat him? Because he was, to me, and just a level unto himself in this show. Aaron Banks appears out of nowhere. I didn't even know who he was. I don't know who a lot of these guys, though, are in men's physique, except for the guys who have been the perennial top fives. And some of those guys are no longer top placers. Aaron Banks looked great. He's a taller guy, completely different look from Brandon. They're apples and oranges. If he is as sharp and as refined as Brandon is, it would be interesting to see that comparison because they are very different from each other. Like I said, this year it was clear that Brandon was first. Aaron was second. And Diego Montenegro, who was third from Brazil, just also looked tremendous. He could have been second in my book. Either way, I'm happy with them, with the placings of the top three. Chiron Holden, top four. He was fourth place. And he was someone who I thought might have had the best chance of winning the show. If anyone could have upset Brandon, it would have been him, I thought. But he placed fourth. He looked good. He's still another guy who is a future, or possibly a future, Olympia champion in men's physique. It was a difference between him and Brandon was, I think, just conditioning, refinement, and just, that's about it. Fifth place, my friend Raymond Edmonds placed fifth. Raymond's former champion, and I still think he can be champion. He just was clearly just a little off this year. I don't think that he's done. He's a young guy too, and just a great competitor. I'm going to jump down to ninth place where my friend Andre Ferguson landed. Andre is another guy who I thought had an excellent chance of winning this Olympia. I think he has an excellent chance of winning every Olympia. Andre's got an excellent chance of winning any show he ever enters. He has got it all. He was just a little off this year, and I think when someone of his renown and his degree of excellence shows up a little off, it's treated like it's a lot off because there's a certain expectation for someone like Andre Ferguson. But hey, you live to fight another day, and Andre's a fighter, so don't write him off. Okay, fitness. Fitness is a hard one for me to talk about, because I don't want to take anything away from anyone. All of these women, all these competitors, especially in fitness, the women in fitness, they train so hard, and they deal with injury on a different level. All bodybuilders can injure themselves, but these ladies are doing some phenomenal routines that involve a certain degree of danger, that every time they do it, if not done perfectly, they can be injured. And many of them are dealing with injuries. We're dealing with injuries this weekend. Whitney Jones, to my knowledge, was dealing with an injured knee. Whitney is, first off, I'm just going to say, champions, Whitney is a champion. She is all about being a champion. Her championship mindset pushes her championship body into to levels that most people can only dream of. She has had neck surgery. She's literally competed with broken neck, knees surgery, that she could barely walk, and competed doing things that no one can do other than these few elite performers in fitness. And she's done it all without no one ever knowing she was injured, except for, I guess, her inner circle. The world wouldn't have known. She is tremendous. And I think this year she may have looked her best as well. She won both the physique round and the routine round, albeit by a slight margin both times against Missy Truscott, who was the reigning defending Miss Olympia. Whitney's won the title twice prior to this. This was Whitney's third win. When you talk about the greats of fitness, you talk about Adela Garcia, Oksana Grishina, and Whitney Jones. To me, are the three queens of the sport. But Missy Truscott was the current champion. She is the current reigning Arnold Classic Ms. International. I honestly and personally, I had her winning this show by a mile. I thought Missy's physique was far and away the best, as good as Whitney was, and as good as I thought Ariel Kadar and Jacqueline Baker's physiques were. They were very refined and very great separation, muscle bellies on Ariel Kadar are just beautiful. She's got a beautiful physique. As good as they were, I would say Whitney was right there with them. But I would say that Missy is just on a different level. She's not only got the muscular size, definition, conditioning that I think is apropos of a champion of not just fitness but figure. She's just got a structure that is nutty. You look at her shoulder to waist ratio, it's like lights out. I honestly, this is the one division that I was sort of flabbergasted by this result. And again, it's not to put down Whitney Jones or any of the other girls that finished beneath her, but Missy Truscott, to me, not only had a physique that was on a different level, her routine was on a different level. I mean, if you watch that thing, you will see, if you were in the audience, man, measure the audience response to Missy's routine and anyone else's other than Oksana's, because that's Oksana. It was phenomenal. The audience knew that what they saw were some jaw-dropping feats, and just the level of athleticism was just on a different level, as was her physique. That's not to say that Whitney's level of athleticism or physique were bad. They were tremendous. She is a legend for a reason. But I just had Missy not only winning the show, but I thought she walked away with it pretty much. Whitney was great as well. Oksana Grishina, her physique, to me, I would have had her lower in the physique round than I think she was. I think she was 4th or 5th in the physique round. Don't have the scorecard in front of me. Yeah, I don't know. The way I saw it, I would have had her a little lower in the physique round. She looked better the weekend though, than she did at the Arnold. And her routine was great. It's a different type of routine. It doesn't have necessarily all the power moves or the high-flying flips and things that some of the other girls do, but she's got a level of flexibility, and her movement is beautiful. really beautiful. When we talk about beautiful movement, I'm going to talk about Jacqueline Baker, who placed fifth in this show, who opened the show, the finals, with her routine. Just a beautiful, beautiful routine. She is a tremendous dancer. Her movement is top notch, and her physique has come up so much. Detailed bodybuilding on Instagram. His real name is escaping me. I guess this is the thing. I'm on Instagram all the time. I know people by their Instagram names. He's done a great job with her. Those two have done tremendous things, and Jacqueline's physique, which used to be a weak point for her, is now one of the strong points of her performance. Top 5 in the world. Great for her. I had her higher, as I did Ariel Kadar, who placed 4th. Another one with, just like I said before, gorgeous physique to me. She and Jacqueline are shorter girls. They don't have that structure of Missy, but her muscle bellies, as a bodybuilder, she's got gorgeous muscle bellies, and her level of athleticism too is just phenomenal. If I were to have my way, I saw this show as Missy, Ariel, Jacqueline Baker, Whitney Jones, Sarah Kovac, who was 7th. I really like her. I like her physique, and I like her routines a lot. And Oksana. Oksana is so hard for me to judge, because although I think those other women's physiques were better, her routine is just very different. I don't think it was quite as moving as her past routines during her reign were, when she was at the top of her game and just dominating the sport. She was just on a different level than she is now, or anyone has been, in my personal opinion. Yes. So that's fitness. That's all I will say about that. Wellness, I don't understand, other than all the women are gorgeous. I thought the champion, Franceli Matos, I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm not Brazilian, and I'm not very intelligent. But I think, she's the champion. She looked amazing. Let's see. I guess I will speak about all these different divisions. Just Bikini, I'll touch on really fast. Bikini was awesome. The top 3 of this show, Jennifer Dory, Laura Lee Chapados, and Ashley Kaltwasser, are all amazing. Any one of them could have won this show. It went to Jennifer Dory, and that is great. Fine. She looked amazing, and she's a great representative of the sport. She'll be a great champion. Laura Lee would have been as well. I thought she looked amazing, and we all know Ashley Kaltwasser is a great champion and representative of this division. She's been 3-time Ms. Olympia. She's won 29 pro shows. I was kind of hoping she would win, because it would be such a great story if she won her 30th pro show, more than any other pro in history, and it was a 4th Olympia. It just would have been an amazing story. But as it is, the story is that Jennifer Dory has reached the pinnacle of the sport. She is a lovely girl and amazing physique, so I'm very happy for her. In 4th place, Maureen Blanquesco. Sure, I killed that one too. She looked great. Deserved that place. And Issa Piccini placed 5th. Issa just recently, there was a show that she beat the top 3, I believe, or 2 of the top 3, and won a show. And then she went into the Arnold Classic, and she was amongst the top 4. She was in the top 4 for that show. She is a former champion herself of the Olympia, won the Olympia in 2019. At the time, I thought she was untouchable and that she would stay the champion. She made big changes to her physique for 2020. She added more size. It was too much size. She was told that. She has diminished her physique significantly. And while that won her show against these other girls earlier this season, by this past weekend, I agree that she seemed a little too diminished in the upper body, in the shoulders, arms. She looked, maybe she was just flat. I don't know. But yes, 5th place for her. she's qualified for life. She is a Olympia champion. Just a great lineup altogether. It was a great show altogether. Just a cloud that hung over the entire thing was the absence of George Peterson, who everyone who knew loved. Anyway, that's another thing I wanted to say about Chris Bumstead. Hats off to him for mentioning George in his victory speech. They were starting to run his music, and he had grabbed the microphone back, and he mentioned George, who he had done battle with for a few years in classic physique. And George was now a top contender, and I contend he was set to win his first Olympia title before just a sudden, unexpected, tragic passing on Wednesday before the Olympia. So hats off to Chris for saying that. And Rami mentioned him as well. These guys are tremendous champions, tons of class, and the IFBB Pro League is in good hands with them as their champions. So that's it. That's all I have to say. Kept it just under an hour. Thanks for listening. I hope I didn't babble too much. Sorry for butchering people's names. I'm just not good. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. I appreciate it. And if you would tell your friends to do so too, I'd love you forever. All right. Thank you so much. This is Michael Bryson for This Is Bodybuilding. We'll see you soon.